with Escape to Gaming. I'm just wondering, how many of you kind of wonder what happened with gaming? What went wrong along the way to where, yes, we have a lot of wonderful games that technically look great and are fun, but a lot of them are frankly, fairly forgettable experiences. After a year or so after you've played them, you might not even remember them, or they aren't as memorable as a game lately, like I've been playing. Where the hell is it? Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I'm playing the Xbox Tides of War edition now to do a comparison. I have an upcoming detailed review of comparing the three ports and just explaining why I think it's one of my favorite top 10 games. But while I'm about halfway into this game now, and there's many elements that I realize, I said, why is this game so appealing after all these years? And if you go online and look on YouTube or even on other forums, there are a lot of people that still love this game and have reverence for it, almost like Doom or the original Quake games or Duke Nukem 3D or Wolfenstein 3D. There's something that makes this game a classic and why it's so playable even today. A lot of kids today might play this and think the graphics just look stale and weak and it's not exciting enough. There's not enough Michael Bay set-piece moments perhaps, but this game to me was what sold me on FPS games. I would not be such a big FPS fanatic if it wasn't for this game. This game was what changed my mind about first-person shooters. I really didn't like them. I had the Duke Nukem Total Meltdown on the PlayStation 1, and I enjoyed it. It was a fun game. But nothing really sold me on it till this game, and the immersion I felt and a lot of the things in this game kind of triggered my topic today, which is think of 5 things that we could bring back to modern games that would make them, I think, classics and make them more successful. And I kind of thought about some of the games, today. I've got a handful of them here. Why are these good games? Why is Tomb Raider, the definitive edition, or even the original one on the Xbox 360, why is it such a great game to me? Why is Metro Redo, or Metro Last Light, or Metro 2033 such an incredible experience? What makes Alien Isolation so mesmerizing and fun to play? Or Wolfenstein: The New Order. And of course, then there's Grand Theft Auto 5, which has an incredible story, but it's more of an open world game with lots of fun. It's a big sandbox game, but even still, it has a good story. And there's many elements, many dynamics that comprise a good game. But some of the things that I think that are missing that we have today, that we don't see today, that when they appear in a game today. Now, I heard lots of complaints about Alien Isolation. Oh God, there's just so much backtracking you have to do. I hate why do we have to do so much backtracking? As if it's a bad thing. God forbid you visit an area a second time. I don't understand that complaint. I think that one of the things that is endearing about a game, like Duke Nukem Time to Kill, where they have all these wonderful different levels that you go back in time and everything, is that you get to go through and find hidden areas. Sometimes you have to find a key card and go back and unlock a subway, and then a train moves out of the way, then you can proceed. And I love backtracking. I think that backtracking is one of the enduring qualities of older games. I don't see why it has to be a bad thing. I've recently played, Myst 3 Exile, and I've got about 25 hours or 26 hours into Myst 4 Revelation right now. And one of the things I love about this is that you backtrack through your world. So one of those things would be backtracking. I don't see it as such a negative thing. I don't know why, and I'll tell you why. I think that, like this new Resident Evil HD Remastered Edition, my friend Mikey's got the PS3 edition, which I'm inclined to get. I may follow his lead and get the PlayStation 3 Japanese edition, which is in English and has a label printed in English. It's reversible from Biohazard on one side or Resident Evil HD, whatever, on the other side. But thinking about going back when I first played Resident Evil 1 and 2, what makes those games so cool, especially the first one, is that you become familiar via all of the backtracking, what have you, in that game. So the Spencer Mansion in the game, you become overly familiar with because you went down that hall and then you start to feel comfortable in it. It still is frightening and arduous to go through, but it's returning to those areas. Wolfenstein Return to Castle, at the end of every level, right before you trigger the final end of where you exit, you have the option. It has a little reader board that comes up that tells you you found 3 out of 5 hidden areas, and maybe 3 out of 5 hidden gold treasures or whatever. So it gives you the opportunity to go back, and you can't on all the levels. There's a couple levels where something happens and kind of triggers a door where you can't go back and go all the way back to the beginning of the level. But most of them you can, and that's what I love about games, because it gives you a chance to become familiar with your environment, and it makes the castle in Wolfenstein or even the tombs and crypts somewhat familiar territory. It's fun to go back. It's fun to kind of get turned around and then go, oh, I was at this intersection before. This is really cool. And sometimes it'd be a gate or a door that was closed earlier in the level, but you go in a roundabout way, and now you come through a hole in the wall, and then you open a switch, and now you've opened that gate you saw earlier. Now you can go back and backtrack. And I think that even in the new Tomb Raider game, it had some of the backtracking on some of the levels, which had a lot of verticality in them. And I really enjoyed that, returning to parts of the level. Like you could see part of a level when you're up real high, and you say, well, eventually I'm going to be down there in that level. I want to check that out. And that's neat. And you can return back to the higher levels again. And it just is a unique feature. So that's one thing that I don't know why it has to be such a bad thing. Some of the reviews for Alien Isolation, that was one of the big negative factors where they gave it a lackluster review because they had to backtrack. I don't understand it. But anyway, that's one of them. The other thing is a good story. Now, I'm just been reading about this new, and I mentioned this in one of my other rants. I was complaining about this new Dead Island 2, and I sent the devs a tweet. I was waiting to hear back. Can I play it offline? Well, they actually replied to me, via Twitter, and says, yes, Dean, you can play it offline. That's all they said. They didn't elaborate too much, which makes me a little nervous, but that's good enough for me. So I'm still inclined to get the game. But as I did even more research, I discovered that there's not really even a story. The fact the game has no ending. You could just keep playing it and playing it. So what it is a giant sandbox game, an open world, and it has lots of it's comprised of little mini plots or side quests. So you go up to a bar, there's a bunch of people trapped inside. He goes, yeah, we want to sit out the zombie apocalypse at the bar and watch ball games, but we can't watch TV because our generator needs gas. Go get gas for the generator. Kind of a la, Dead Island. So it has a lot of these kind of fetch question missions and deals, and that's fine. I mean, I look forward to playing that. I just, it'll be satisfying, killing the zombies and blowing their heads off with a shotgun and all that. But it's a shame. It's like story. What is happening to stories? Now, we get a wonderful open world game like Grand Theft Auto 5, which aside from the multiplayer has a fantastic, robust single-player story with not one but 3 characters. So Rockstar got it right. They knew story was important, and that's why Red Dead Redemption is such a wonderful game. That's why, a lot of these games are great games. I mean, you get a game like, GTA Vice City is fantastic because it's got a wonderful story, wonderful voice acting, wonderful characters, and it's enjoyable all the way to the end. You want to see how the story develops by the end of the game, and that's, to me, is important. So you've got, like I said, you got the backtracking issue, this good story element. Someone did a review. I've been watching the reviews very closely of Dying Light because I was kind of intrigued. I'm not crazy about the kind of the ugly, town that it's kind of a Turkish town, really run down, beautiful lighting and everything in the game, but it's just kind of depressing. The architecture and the slums and everything kind of reminds me of some of the Max Payne, 3 slums are down in Brazil or wherever the hell they were. But there was one fellow that played it all the way to the end and did a video, and what caught my eye is he said the ending of this game sucks. So, I said I may not get the game. I'm not afraid of spoilers. I'll go ahead and watch what he has to say about it and see his review. And his complaint was, the game was, kind of fun, and he said the melee, combat was satisfying and all that, and he liked how you could level up and upgrade your character with a variety of options. That's all great. We're seeing a lot of those dynamics in games today, but the problem is that it has one of these kind of open-ended stories. It has a very, all of a sudden it ends, a big quick time event. I don't want to say what the story is, but the story just ends, and there's no real solution. Everything that you've experienced with the game, you get infected right in the beginning of the game. You're trying to get this cure and, work for the government, do and help the people and all this. And it doesn't wrap itself up. It leaves itself open so they can sell you another Dying Light 2, 2 years from now or whatever. So, and that's fine. I know it's a business. I know that they want to sell the next game, whether it's EA or Activision or Techland or whoever the hell it is that's publishing and making the games. Naturally, they want them to do good, and Jaeger, it's doing Dead Island 2 because it gets such a lackluster response in Spec Ops Online. They said recently, about a month or so ago, sadly you won't see another Spec Ops Online because it was hated. We get lots of grief over it, and it's a shame because this is a great story-driven game. Someone from I don't want to mention names, but someone reviewed this game. Someone I know who's actually reviewed some of my games that I donated. And they only played the first couple levels of this. Oh, it's another game where it's Americans killing Arabs, just what we need. And so he shot the game down, gave it a horrible review. He only played the beginning of the game. I'm like, dude, if you had played into the game more, you would have saw it's not about killing Arabs. It's about killing fellow Americans. It's kind of like Apocalypse Now. It's a great story. This is one of the finest stories you will ever see in a military game. They should return to this, but stories, I guess, aren't popular anymore, so you get a wonderful story-driven game with solid gameplay, gorgeous graphics and set pieces, and it gets shot down. What a tragedy. Battlefield Bad Company 2. Well, I mean, I love, Battlefield 4 and the PlayStation 4. I got it right here. I got Battlefield 3. I enjoy the campaign in that as well, but why not return to the wonderful, fun characters, camaraderie, and the story that made Battlefield Bad Company 2 so unique and interesting? In my opinion, that's why it's a winner. But, God forbid. Another one, Medal of Honor, another game that's hated by a lot of people, probably for political correct, anti-military reasons, and I understand that, and validate some of your frustration with that aspect of it, but even still, it has a wonderful story. It really does, and it wrapped up to where you're choked up by the end of the game. That's a hallmark that the game got to you, that you got immersed in it. Immersed with the characters, you cared about the characters, you wanted to see it through to the end. Like, Wolfenstein Return to Castle, the same thing, long games. I'd like to see more of that kind of stuff. And you'll see it. I mean, we got wonderful stories. Heavy Rain, which I haven't played, I'm anxious to get to. I've heard it has a great story. The Uncharted series, I can't wait to play that new Uncharted 4, Thieves' End, but the first two I've played, and I love the stories in them. They're great. That's what makes them classic. That's why a decade from now, people will still be playing and seeking these out for their collection, in my opinion. The Last of Us, the same thing. Wonderful story. Would it kill you to have a good story and characters you can invest in? It makes it that much more immersive and fun, in my opinion. But anyway, so you get the backtracking, the story elements. Those are two items. The other thing is diversity in level designs. I mean, Wolfenstein Return to Castle, especially the Operation Resurrection PS2 version and the Tides of War, there's many additional levels, quite a few, that go back to the roots of, Egypt, where this whole mystery takes place, where the Nazis are digging up, kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, digging up Nazi treasures here in parts of Egypt and the city. Great level design, really well done. And then you go down under the catacombs and tombs of Egypt, and the Nazis are fighting zombies. Probably where they, Call of Duty ripped off the Nazi concept was from this. This is the original Nazi versus zombies right here. And I'm looking forward to the new Rebellions, Nazi Zombie Army. I think it's Nazi Zombie Army Trilogy that's coming out soon. But wonderful level design. Then eventually you end up in the castle, and you work your way all through the castle. It's just so cool. And you take a tram down, you escape the castle and go down into this little German town down below, and then work your way back into the catacombs. And then you surface, and then eventually you're going these wonderful outdoor levels, and bombed out German cities, and these up in Norway, this hidden underground special scientific labs with all the sci-fi elements. I mean, a diversity in level design. Would it kill you to have diverse levels in a game? Now, something like Alien Isolation didn't have a lot of it. It had some diversity in the levels because your parts of it are on the spaceship. Sometimes you leave the spaceship via a shuttle, go to another spaceship. They had the actual hive where all of the aliens, were breeding or whatever. So it had diversity with them, although it's relatively repetitive the way it looks graphically, because it all takes place for the most part on a spaceship. There still was a little diversity in that. Tomb Raider had some diverse sections out in the forest and on the ocean cliffs, and then eventually and these interesting caves and dungeons and stuff. So there's a little diversity in that. Wolfenstein: The New Order had a lot of diversity. Wonderful prologue, and then it goes back, and wonderful story behind this too. This is an incredible game with a great story. This is a prime example, and good diverse level design in this as well. Eventually, in the beginning, you're like fighting back in World War II, and then later you're inside the castle itself, and then you wake up and you're in this Polish kind of an asylum, or kind of like a nursing home where they're nursing you back to health, and mental patients and what have you, in different areas throughout London that's been compromised by the Nazis, and eventually up onto the moon. So you've got a good array of diverse level design in this, and in my opinion, that's one of the things that makes it a great game, is having cool level design. So those are three things, and I got many more examples of them here. Exploration in hidden areas. Now this is something that you're seeing a lot of collectibles. Like I'm presently playing Far Cry 4, and I love finding collectibles. A lot of them are kind of obvious. I mean, they're like, just a box that kind of glows, and obviously there's something in there, and you click on, open it up. But it doesn't have, like, when you play a game like Duke Nukem Time to Kill, and I played this game several times, I still, to this day, there's like 2 or 3 hidden areas I never found. Now, they have a strategy guide I discovered recently, which I'm going to be getting for this game. I can probably just go online and find out where all the hidden areas are. But I just love strategy guides, and I want to play this game again and find those last couple hidden areas I couldn't find. And again, kind of harkening back to that thing about backtracking, what's cool about these games, like these where you do a lot of backtracking, is that it's fun to go back and go, God, I know there's got to be a hidden area, because it says that I'm missing the hidden area. Where is it? So you become obsessed with scouring every corner of your world, looking for that one brick that sticks out a little bit, or a book on a bookshelf that's popped out just a hair, or a crack in a wall that could be a hidden area behind it. You use a pipe bomb and break it open, and then you can open up this whole back entrance to some underground facility or something. Those are the things that, to me, make it a real adventure, the exploration of hidden areas. I don't know why it has to be a bad thing to have that in games. I'm trying to think what other games had hidden areas like that. Well, of course, the Myst games have got lots of hidden switches and areas and stuff like that. I love that. That's why I've been getting so lost in these games. And this one, in Myst 3 Exile, I've had so much fun replaying these games again and finding the hidden switches and what does this switch do, and finding if you move this painting behind it, there's a switch, and then it opens up this other doorway you saw in a level earlier or something. It's so cool. That's what that new game, The Witness, will all be about. It's kind of goes back to the days of Myst. Lots of hidden areas, and if you can't figure something out, it's okay. You can come back to it, and you'll find something in another area that will kind of segue into that. Maybe that turns some power on that you can do something else. So it helps you to initiate exploration. It's like it gives you a reason to explore and go everywhere. Think of a game like Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. This is another one with lots of great hidden collectibles and little hidden areas and these little treasures you can find. And to me, that's what makes the game so endearing. This game has a lot of hallmarks of not only is it a great game, but it's a great movie license game. And it works well because it has all of the elements, which leads me up to my final point. Aside from the exploration of hidden areas, 5 would be real high adventure by nature. So a game like Return to Castle, Wolfenstein, or Doom 3 even, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, they're just such a huge adventure that you feel like you're embarking on this journey, and you want to see your character go through all of the environments. You can't wait to see what's around the next corner, where the next collectible could be. How am I possibly going to get through this or beat this boss battle, or what have you? And I love that element in games. To me, you can get lost in the game and have so much fun with these. So I don't understand today, the things that make games great to me. And I still like the health packs too. Nothing against the regenerating health. I enjoy that, but it's nice to have the health packs. It's nice to have to look for them instead of just standing behind a boulder for 5 seconds until your health comes back. I like looking for those hidden areas. I like scouring the level, for those collectibles and stuff, especially when they help you to upgrade. Like a game like, Wolfenstein from 2009. This is a great example. Great level design. It has a giant open world hub, which you can't explore, which is pretty cool. But it's just neat that not only they don't just throw collectibles in for those guys that like to get 100% completion, we put in 450 collectibles for you to find for no reason whatsoever. They have nothing to do with the game. And sometimes you'll find that in the form of audio logs, which give you a little background of the game and stuff like that, which is cool. One of the things I loved about Far Cry 3 was finding all of those lost letters that these Japanese, wrote, and you had these hidden letters everywhere. And I loved reading those, But they actually had gold and intel and these tome things, they call them, which actually help you to level up, to upgrade your weapons and abilities and veil powers. And that's what I love about it. That's why, to me, this game is a classic and will still stand the test of time. Wonderful level design, lots of hidden areas, exploration, an incredible story. It has a really good ending by the end of it, which actually, the Wolfenstein, the New Order kind of picks up, where this left off, which is interesting. And it's just a great game, lots of high adventure. The music gets you all worked up. The music in this was exceptional as well. Wolfenstein, the New Order, also incredible music. You feel, it has the appropriate music for the appropriate time. Down in the crypts, they got this eerie music. I got a text or phone. I should have left my phone in the kitchen. Lots of things that make the game interesting. And a lot of that is what creates that adventure is not only great level design and art direction, but having appropriate music at the appropriate times. It's so important. The little things you don't even notice sometimes are the big things. The sound design in Black is so damn good. Great level design. I love finding the health packs. I mean, if you will die if you don't find them all. But wonderful level design. Great sound design of the sounds of the guns, all of that. It's going on an epic adventure. I remember the first time I played Medal of Honor Frontline, which I actually played on the PlayStation 2 initially. It was just mesmerizing. I felt like I was in the Private Ryan story. It was so captivating to work your way, even getting through the beach, up to the beachheads was just so hard. And you really felt like you were on an adventure, going through the sub pens and through, infiltrating the submarines and the whole deal. It was so cool. A game recently I just bought, or I ordered, I just got the Cold Fear strategy guide. Here's a great example. A lot of people have laughed and put this game down, but this has, in my opinion, great level design, great art direction, really creepy music, good graphics, lots of backtracking, which is what I love. I love that in a game. Although, and I mentioned this before, one of the faults of the game is that there's no in-game map. It's kind of nice when you can pause or hit a button and you can see a map of the ship or wherever you are. So you can kind of, okay, well, I've been there. I see I got to work my way back. So there's no maps in this, which is why I got the strategy guide. But this is a good game. It has a lot of the hallmark, a high adventure. It's an original concept. That, too, is something else. Come up with something original. At one time, this was original. There's another strategy guide I just ordered, Fallout 3. Look how thick you kill somebody with this thing. It must weigh several pounds. I mean, it's very heavy. But what a wonderful adventure. And I can't wait to get into this and play the Fallout New Vegas as well, and all the DLC for it, because this is my kind of adventure. In the 50s, and you come up underground, years later come out of a vault, and everything has changed. You can't wait to go check out different towns and characters and people. Great RPG elements. I'm sure there's backtracking in this as well. And a wonderful story with, an ending that you can actually, make a difference in how the game ends, which I like. So I'm anxious to play, the Fallout 3, or Game of the Year edition. Now, games I do like, and I've mentioned this in other rants, like, The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. I think that one of the things that would have helped this game would have been to have a better story. So you can see the game could have great level design, the graphics are okay. I like the gameplay in it quite a bit. But one of the things that suffered is that the characters, you didn't really care too much about a lot of the people that you met, because they help you collect things or whatever, but you don't really interact with them too much other than deciding who to bring along to help you scavenge for gas and food and things. But the story itself had kind of a lackluster ending. Sometimes, even if the story is marginal or okay, the ending can blow the whole game. The end of it, and that's what I've heard about Dying Light, At the end of it, it's like, that's it? And then you're pissed off because you've invested 30 hours in a game, and you feel unsatisfied. It's like, go to an expensive gourmet restaurant, and that's it, it's over, and you've eaten, and you spent $1 million for it, and you got to go to McDonald's afterwards to get something to eat so you feel full satisfied, which is sad. A game like the Chronicles of Riddick, which I haven't played the Assault on Dark Athena yet, but I love the Butcher Escape from Butcher Bay. What a wonderful adventure. All the hallmarks, a great level design, backtracking for sure in this, wonderful story elements, story-driven with a good ending. You got a diversity of level designs, not just the prison levels, but you get outside the prison as well and go deep underground, all this stuff. I love this exploration of hidden areas. They had this, and it's a real adventure. I mean, these are, and Singularity, another one, wonderful adventure. That's why we need more new IPs. I don't want to see another Assassin's Creed or Gears of War, as good as those games are, and Halo and the other ones. They're all great, and there's great level design in them, and there's even good stories in them, but they're just something missing. It's like a lot of these newer games are missing a soul. And I think that there's a lot of soul in these old games like these because of that. I mean, even a game like Manhunt is, creepy. A lot of people just write it off, oh, it's exploitive, and it's just a murder simulator, all this. But it actually had a really fascinating story. Great voice acting by Brian Cox, and you wanted to see how this guy got out of this absolute hellish nightmare, and it wrapped up with a very satisfying ending and story, as dark as it is. That's what makes, to me, a good game. So let me know in the comments what you think makes a good game. What are the 4 or 5 things that you'd like to see more of in a game? Do you agree with these things? So you get, again, story-driven with good endings. That's one element. Backtracking, diversity of level design and great set-piece moments, exploration in hidden areas, and then real adventure, really high adventure in games. These are 5 hallmarks that I think make a great game, that would ultimately make a classic game. And only the test of time will tell us over another 10 or 15 years later how all of these games will be viewed. And I have a feeling that a bunch of these will be, heralded as great games down the road, which I'm hoping that they will. I mean, I love games like Freedom Fighters, is a great example. What a wonderful story. And that's another thing. Some of these games are so good, you could make a movie from them. They really have a story that fascinating. It would lend themselves to a film, like Freedom Fighters. And this has been kind of done, with the original Red Dawn movie. Never saw the remake of it. But this is a great story. Great level design, great diversity of levels. It's kind of bland as the graphics look today. And it kind of wraps up and culminates into a great story by the end. I don't know what they had in the way of collectibles. I don't remember too much in this, but it's a great game. Even Twisted Metal, the first one, second one, and Black in particular, had a great premise and story. Each person wants to see their wish granted, and you want to see, how each character, that's why I played every single character and car and vehicle in this, because I wanted to see the final cutscene for every single character and car. But the new Twisted Metal that I've got over here somewhere for the PlayStation 3, a horrible story. Only 3 characters, all of them not real likable characters, nothing redeemable about them at all. You don't really care about the story, and the set-piece moments, none of it made sense. That's why I couldn't even get past like the 3rd level. I said, I'm not going to play the story. And I just enjoyed the gameplay and the split screen. So anyway, that's my rant on this. You can look forward to my review coming soon. I mean, it's going to be a long, detailed review of one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. An absolute FPS masterpiece, a grandfather of kind of like Nazi zombie games that's really done right is Wolfenstein, the Tides of War, Operation Resurrection, or the PC version. They're all fantastic. So anyway, that's my rant. I got a couple quick pickups I'll show you. I just got, finally, thanks to Scott, the console snob, sold me on the Soldier of Fortune. Of course, I'll probably have to try to get the PC version that has better graphics, but I was thrilled to find a complete and mint, Soldier of Fortune for the PS2, which I'm really excited about. And then while I was there picking this up, I said, well, I'll just look. I can't really afford to go crazy with games, but I finally found the original Star Wars Battlefront, which I'm really excited about. So all I have to left is just Battlefront 2, and then I have all my original Star Wars games that I want. I think I also have Republic Commando as well, which I'm anxious to get into, but I'm really thrilled about these. So thanks, Scott, for the recommendation on this. I love the gore and the level design in this as well. Now, again, I don't know how the story is in this, and maybe that'll make it a memorable game, but I love Raven Software, who did, Return to Castle. So I'm inclined to give it a shot. And I do like the gore and, the action and that kind of stuff. But anyway, what things would you like to see more of in games? What do you think is missing in games today that we used to have in the old days? I really would like to know. Leave your ideas in the comments and your concepts. I love your input and opinions, and I appreciate you watching this. So enjoy your games no matter what they are, and have a wonderful weekend.